It is interesting. People think of Yosemite, they think of Yosemite Valley, and that's understandable given how spectacular it is. And they don't realize that 95% of the park is wilderness, designated wilderness, and that this huge area extends back from the rims of the valley that is really quite wild. It amazes people to learn that the walls of the valley themselves are designated wilderness. The wilderness boundary is just 200 vertical feet above the floor of the valley. Some people think wilderness is exclusionary, that only a tiny number of people go there. But actually, everyone who goes to the valley and looks out through their windshield is enjoying wilderness, because that's what they're looking at.
Wilderness is a place removed from roads, from buildings, from permanent structures. It's a place where the forces of nature are allowed to be wild. By going away from the roads, by going away from the campgrounds, you get to experience the other 95% of Yosemite. And when you go out there, it tends to be very quiet. You don't experience the crowds that you do elsewhere in the park.
We hiked down from Tuolumne Meadows, my two brothers and their two sons, headed to Vogelsang, Lake Merced, and now we're in Lower Yosemite. And it's pretty amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, to walk with the pace of the land, we don't do that much anymore, do we?
Especially in our society and our culture, there's this drive to be successful and to always be going and always be doing. I think this is an opportunity for them to just take a deep breath.
It's like a breath. It's like noticing your surroundings for the first time, can be a big thing for someone. I think when you're in a day-to-day life in a city and things become routine, and sometimes I think things are taken for granted.
I think it's just this soul connection with nature to try to remember. We get so lost in our little human worlds, and you get to come out here and just forget about it all and remember there's other things to life,
The guy who wrote the Wilderness Act, Howard Zahniser, said that was the most important value of wilderness, was that it reminded people what their true place in nature is. And we need that. We need the humility that goes with going out into nature without all our tools that as Zahniser said, give us a sense of mastery over nature. And just being a plain citizen of the earth and its community of life and remembering our place.
When you go out into the wilderness, you step away from our lives in the city. You step away from our cars and the roads. And you enter into a very beautiful and simple place.
Everything that you need to survive, you can carry on your back. I think it does take people back to the roots of this is all I really need.
Life is broken down into your basic needs. You're eating, you're sleeping, and you're moving. But you're doing it all through a space that is really caught up in its own existence, really doing its own thing.
A big part of the value of having an area that's untrammeled, where we're not manipulating, is it gives scientists a chance to go out and see what areas unmodified by humans look like, how they operate, how they function.
Wilderness is a laboratory to witness the forces of nature unfold unconstrained and unmanipulated by people. And that could be very important for future research into perhaps how we solve some of the environmental challenges that we're currently facing.
These wilderness areas are serving all kinds of functions that are important to the planet. These forests are the lungs of the planet that are cleaning the air. These watersheds, as part of the water cycle, are providing fresh, clean water. Having these undisturbed systems, especially if they're linked together with other undisturbed systems, keeps animal species alive, keeps these whole cycles and these complex interrelationships alive. I think as climate changes, I think as other ecological calamities increase, we may start understanding some of those values more.
Coming into wilderness or wondering about wilderness and knowing that if you remove someone from the context of their normal daily life, place them in wilderness, it could be an intriguing and confounding sort of experience.
It's that element of the unknown, and not having control, I think, is something important to know, because there's a lot of things in our lives that we don't have control over.
In a lot of ways, that's the essence of the wilderness experience, is that you are disconnected from society. It's up to you. You're making these decisions. You're being self-reliant. You know no one's there to pick up the pieces if you blow it. Wilderness is a risky place. It's supposed to be. We're not supposed to take the risk out of wilderness by putting signs and guardrails and cutting down every rotten tree and making everything safe. That's up to you. That's up to the visitor to think intelligently about those things and manage the risk intelligently and enjoy that aspect of wilderness.
When you're back at home in a nice controlled environment, those are the things you talk about too. It's like the things you glorify afterwards, like all the bugs and the blisters, and it's almost this idea of like, you made it. You can do it. You know, you're out there in wilderness, and this is what I endured, and it was fun. Yeah, in retrospect.
That's what makes it interesting. You know, seeing a huge lightning storm from a safe location is an amazing thing to do. If you're running with the pack on, you're worried about your life trying to get over that pass, then you may not appreciate it. But once you're in a relatively safe spot, yeah, it's fantastic. Same thing with a lot of other things that we think of as hazards. You know, that huge rushing creek is an amazing thing to see unless you're trying to get across it.
And we don't go to the wilderness to seek out dangerous situations. But sometimes dangerous situations present themselves in the wilderness. And the decisions you make at those moments are very important. And they teach you a lot about yourself.
I think there's an element of spirituality to it. I think there's an element of humility. People need to reconnect and find their place in the world. Being in wilderness, being in the presence of something so much larger that doesn't need us, that goes on without us, that's doing just fine without our having anything to do with it. I think there's a certain power in that people can draw from.
When we come back to our lives away from the wilderness, your mind tends to be clear. You tend to be at peace. And I think it offers a great opportunity to look back on your life and have some perspective.
The best thing is whatever you bring to it, is whatever you're open to when you go out there. If I go out there with an open mind and an open heart, I'm going to get something good out of it. And that's the best thing.
It's another one of the experiences about wilderness that it wakes you up.
Wake up, come on out. You know, you're really going to catch it, because look at where I am right now. So good. Yeah.